Hey people, I've been seeing that there's been a lot of questions about Ableton Live and the TR-8S and how do I get it hooked up and why isn't this working? The sound doesn't sound good. And yeah, well, I got it to work. So I'll just kind of step by step walk through really everything that I did, which was kind of, I was listening and reading to everybody's things, and I said, you know what, none of this, there's an easier way. People are getting way too thoughty about this. Generally, I've found that it's not the equipment or or anything else. It's usually how I have it set up improperly. So, going back to the very, very basics, I have Catalina. I'm running a MacBook Pro. I think it's a couple years old, and I only have 8 gigs of RAM. So, yeah, mistakes were made, but this is what I got going on here. If we back up, the first thing I did was I made sure I had all the drivers current and all the updates and all that good stuff. I went to audio MIDI setup, and you don't have to understand why, but just make sure that that looks like that. You're gonna have to create some external devices. Just look all this stuff up. You have a Mac, it's smarter than you are. And then the only other thing is that I was thinking I had to use an aggregate device because I'm using using that guy right there for my sound out. But I want to use this guy for my sound in. Well, that's okay, because all you gotta do is just tell it to do that. Now you could have the in and out going through your TR-8S. That's fine. I don't do that. This is what I did. Okay, so everything looks like that. Wonderful. Now the next step, there was actually another step. The driver, you will find, when you install that properly, we'll have that logo right there in your system preferences. Go click on that. Why is that important? Because that's got your sample rate. Okay, so the cool thing about the TR-8S is that it has a 96K or 96,000 capability. I thought that was cool. I thought you needed the highest, the best, the whatever. No, most things that I use and most things that are recorded and most samples that you get, and just this is the general standard, 44,100. So make sure it's on that. Make sure everything's cool with that. Get out of there. Now it comes to the fun part within Ableton. Preferences. Audio input device is the TR-8S. The audio output device is my other guy. Now, sorry for the shakiness, I've had a lot of coffee. I'm in the input configuration, and I have the mono inputs through 14, 1 through 14. The stereo inputs, you really only need 1 and 2. Okay? The outputs you don't need to worry about unless you're doing some funky stuff like I am. In that case, you probably shouldn't have this problem. I'm just kidding. I find myself making what I thought were newbie mistakes all the time. And we're all just learning anyway. So, okay. What you will have to do is you will have to create, if you'd like to have these all individually out. First, before you get into that, let's get into this here. The TR-8S, go under Utility. You're going to scooch on over to, I forget where it is. Under General, USB Audio Individual. Make sure that it's telling it that. Otherwise, it's not going to know what you want. So I basically have labeled these all what they're appropriately supposed to be. So the first output I have is stereo. That is your stereo mix out with all of your, it's basically your mix out. It's got all of your delay and all of your effects and all that crap on there. And then individually, unaffected audio will be the bass drum, snare, light, mid, high toms, and everything else. The very last one, which is a mono output number 14, is the external in, which I have hooked up to my microKORG. And if you can't hear that, that's the microKORG coming through the TR-8S into Ableton and out of my audio interface. Whew. Okay, so let's review this real quick. I'm basically setting up outputs 3 through 14, as well as a stereo 1 and 2. 3 through 14 are all of your instruments and your external out, external in, geez Louise. And then 1 and 2 are gonna be your mix out, which is everything with all your fun stuff. I hope that made sense. I've never done a tutorial, clearly. And so the end result is you get this. I have the microKORG set up with a side chain within the TR-8S. Oh, that's right. So I have all of these hooked up so that they're just recording the individual guy. But if I were to put the mix out and just solo that, let's listen to that. All right. Best of luck. You can do it.